Lighting. Today we're going to be checking out my lighting setup. I'm going to go ahead and show you exactly the type of gear that I use for my YouTube videos and also for my Twitch streams. I'm also going to do my best to explain my choices and all the different things that you can do with them and the different looks that I usually achieve. Now, something you may not know about me is that I have about a decade of experience as a professional photographer. I mostly do studio creative portraits, so maybe that helps a little bit when it comes to choosing my own lighting. I at least have a good idea of, how the camera is going to react to certain lighting environments. This is a simple YouTube and Twitch setup. I'm not saying that you need to have those skills in order to replicate something like this. Actually, not at all. But I'm saying that you need to get familiar with your camera in general, even if it's a webcam. So let's start with how I light the most important subject of my scene, which is my face. I'm gonna turn off everything else and then you'll see. And there it is. I currently have two lights lighting my face right now. I have a softbox and a ring light. In fact, I'm gonna show you. Okay, so what you're seeing here is the softbox. As you can see, this is a softbox that I got from Amazon here, and the bulb is like 150 watts, which is absolute overkill, but I prefer having too much light than not enough. So it's probably like on 10% right now. And it's very, very bright. And then a secondary light I have is this cheapo, probably $5 ring light that probably came with a kit or something like that. And the only reason why I have this one is for the catch light. If you look at my eyes right now, it creates like the little ring, and sometimes this part of the room is a little too dark and it just makes my eyes a little too dark. I'm gonna turn it off so you can see the difference with my eyes. Okay, so ring light on, ring light off. It also covers a little bit of the shadow. It's kind of like this fill light. This is the Yellowcam S3, by the way. I love this thing. This is not a bad look by any means, but the shadow here is a little too dramatic, and my door is that way. I don't want to put any lights to fill the shadows or anything. So even though I already have a catch light from the softbox, sometimes I move it around depending on how soft I want it to be. Having the ring light give me that extra little punch like that just assures that I have that little catch light, and people pay attention more when they see that in your eyes. If I were to turn off the softbox, you realize that, okay, yeah, the ring light is not doing that much, really. It's not technically, I wouldn't consider this lighting my face, even though it's very visible right now. The softbox is really doing the whole job. You probably noticed that I don't have the honeycomb modifier on it, and it's supposed to prevent like spillage. I'm thinking of getting one if I can have one that is the exact dimensions of my softbox, or creating one out of cardboard because, well, it's just, something to prevent that much spillage. For example, a lot of light from the softbox is hitting my wall behind me, and I don't necessarily want that. But a lot of it is hitting the wall in front of me, and it's creating a softer look, which I do want. So I'm still a little torn about that. Having that modifier on would actually give me a more dramatic look. It would separate me more from the background. So I might consider it. All right, since I make videos for, gamers, live streamers, people who are very hip when it comes to technology and all that stuff, I really go out of my way to display my branding colors, which is purple and cyan. In fact, I'm wearing a purple t-shirt right now. So let's turn those on. Those two lights I am so proud of because they are rim light. They are my hair light or shoulder light, as you want to call it. They really, really separate me. They are the thing that is actually separating me from the background. And I have them actually relatively close so that they're as harsh as possible, even though they're not like a single point of light. And those are, let me see which one is closer. So this is what they look like. They are little light bars, but they have the power of like projectors. So this is what those are. They're basically like light bars, but they're like floodlights in a sense. They were made to be on camera, which means that I can pick whatever color I want. I use this remote control, and they actually connect to Wi-Fi, but I haven't done it. I haven't done that. I haven't gone through the trouble of doing that. They are 50 watts, and 50 watts is a lot because this room, you can't necessarily tell. This room is huge. So I know that if I want to light something from a distance, or if I want to light my background, for example, that's why I love this. Look at that. Just super easy, and then boom, my wall is going to be purple, right? And I have two of those, even though right now I'm only using them as, my rim light. One con is that they don't actually fit on my tripod. So every time you see them, they're hanging literally by a thread on the tripod. And of course, having decent light tripods, pretty good. Knowing how to install them to make them secure, very good. Now, the goal of having those is to keep them out of frame because, well, this looks good, especially when you don't see where that purple light is coming from. It almost looks like I'm on a green screen. But sometimes, like, I don't shy away from actually having them in frame. I don't think this look is too shocking, honestly, but the cables are my big issue. Like, they look so messy to me. I'm like, oh, I can't figure it out. Let me put them off screen. Now, obviously, you have two white things completely peeking on screen, and you want people to see you as the subject, so you don't necessarily want something that is way brighter than you on screen at all times. But as you can see, the background, now that like they face towards me, so the background actually doesn't catch any of that colored light, which means that I have different lights for the background, but most importantly, I can switch the colors on the background and it's going to be different from what I am lit with. I should probably turn off one of them so you can actually see what it looks like when it's turned off. There it is. It's a bar with a lot of super bright LEDs in there, and it's a total of 50 watts. If you're seeing this and you're saying, wow, those are cool, 50 watts is a lot. It's good for a big room like this one. But if you're in a tiny room and your back is against the wall, you do not need 50 watts. Get 10 watts should be good, but 30 watts should be okay. And make sure you get lights that are made to be on camera, like videography light. If you just get floodlights that are like that, you're probably going to have some problems. And I might demonstrate this because I do use some floodlights. All right, let's turn that back on. Oh, and there's another look that I sometimes like to have. And it's my eyes are red because of allergies. My psoriasis is too crazy. I don't feel like being on camera look. And it's this one. This is also why I love having those so close, because even though you don't really see my face, it creates enough of an outline for this look to be acceptable. So some of my videos I will film like this when I don't feel like being on camera. And sometimes I'll go live on Twitch and I don't feel like having a bright white light in my eyes for like 4 hours. I'll go live like this, and that's completely fine. Keeping in mind that in general, I also tweak the colors a little bit, the lighting, the exposure mostly in OBS Studio itself. So whatever I'm recording, sometimes I'll put like a LUT, I'll tweak with the colors and everything. So yeah, let me get them out of frame again in case your eyes are hurting. And remember, at any point, if I want to turn one of them towards the wall, like that, for example, I still get like a pretty cool lighting on the wall with no light modifiers, no barn doors and all that stuff, just like that. Lately, I've been enjoying the little bloom that it creates. I'm even thinking of having maybe a haze filter on my camera so that I can create even more bloom. I think that's a pretty cool look. Backed with a softbox and the ring light, and we're cooking. All right, there's another tiny light that thankfully also works with the same remote. Keep in mind that I could automate those. Don't ask me, hey, why don't you get things that work with Wi-Fi? I used to have that setup and it was a little complicated. And right now, the way I have my setup, I don't mind going and just turning things on and adjusting things with physical buttons. I used to use my Alexa to do that, but not anymore. I might go back to it someday. I don't know. So yeah, that other light is what I call a decoration light because, well, it's a white wall behind me. There's no decoration. So when I turn this one on, and it's very sensible to I can do this and it turns off. Like I don't know why it's so sensitive. This one like was an AliExpress buy, I think, for $5. And it's one of those sunset lamps. So it's also RGB. So you can easily change the color, and you can also, wow, the blue is barely visible. Change the color, and it also has like fading and strobe modes and all that stuff. And I love this one because it's actually super tiny and you can place it wherever you want. You can have like a huge circle. I just love having this, when I'm sitting straight, having this little, well, this white halo around my head. It gives it more depth and it makes the whole setup way more than just me standing in front of a white wall sitting. So let me show you what it is. It's just that. It's that little thing. It's actually being held with a phone mount on this little arm so I can easily move it around. I believe this came with another ring light that I have somewhere. Also, yeah, the lights that I'm showing today is not all the lights that I have. I have too many lights, to be fair. If you're thinking about like Elgato key lights and all, I have 2 of those. I have all of them. All right, let me show you this little puck. I have a review, I believe, on my tech channel for this one. It is USB, believe it or not. It's pretty bright and it's USB. Like I have 2 50-watt lights pointed at me right now. I think this is 4 or 6 watts or something. I don't even remember. But yeah, USB powered. I have it on a USB extension cord. And yeah, if I want to make a super huge sunset, I can easily just place it where I want. If I want to make a smaller one, I just get it closer. Sometimes I have it exactly on this little piece of furniture, just pointed up So it creates this distorted version. Sometimes I have it on the side and it, yeah, still creates this distorted version of just the sunset thing. I like this thing. If I'm recording in complete darkness, I can also, point it at my own face and have it be like some sort of cool effect like that. But it's not as bright as my other lights, right? You can see it. That's why I call it decorative light. I don't light anything with this. I just put it against the wall to make you see that there's something there, basically. I'll probably go around and tell you about the cost later on. Okay, what else do we have? If you look on the little piece of furniture behind me, you'll see like some sort of light bar that goes around. And this one is the Govee Glide. It's a wall light where you can, turn it in different shapes and blah, blah, blah. But I decided to just keep it on there because I don't know, I have a hard time using the adhesive and putting it against a wall. I feel like that is so permanent. I don't want to struggle removing it or anything. I made a DIY light that I really, really stuck to the wall. And when I was moving, when I lived in Paris, I just left it there. So this one, it's a Govee light, fully controlled on my phone. So I can have all sorts of effects, including some that react to my voice. Something also cool with this one is that, Govee is compatible with like your Amazon devices. So if I wanted to control it with my voice, I could just turn it on, turn it off, maybe change scenes. I don't remember. I don't do that anymore. I just use my phone because I like to see all the options when I'm about to film and then turn it on. Or if it's late at night and I have everything turned off, I love the night light. But yeah, right now it's on bouncing ball. Let me get out of the way actually so you can see the whole thing. I have some garbage on this. So yeah, this is bouncing ball. So every time the light goes there, it bounces. I have crossing where those things are crossing. I think there's like 100. So we're not gonna do them all, but it's pretty cool. There's pretty cool option. And as you can see, it's actually affecting the wall quite a lot. White wall. It's pretty close to it and it's pretty nice, but that's not the only thing. Let me put the softbox back on. So yeah, all of a sudden, it's funny when we went from darkness to this, it feels like everything is way too bright now, but it's not. Let me turn down the softbox a little bit. Let me turn it off, turn it back on. I'm not even gonna go over like camera settings or anything. So yeah, considering just how bright things are right now, this is still not all of the lights that I usually have when I have my full brightness, full light setup. I have a projector, a floodlight, literally meant for outdoors behind this IKEA furniture. And it's like propped down on top of something and it's slightly pointing towards the wall so that it can hit all the way up top. I think I'll have to turn off the Govee Glide so you can really see the effect. And there it is. It's not super bright. It provides that little glow, especially like if I don't want to have the Govee Glide on, I still want to have something on the wall. It is set to blue right now. I believe I can change the color, but like I'm out of batteries on most of my remotes. And blue is not a bad color for the background. So yeah, this is another 50 watts, believe it or not. In fact, if I turn off this and turn this off, this is a setup right there. I don't have my rim light, but if I wanted to keep things simple, that's how I would do it. It still basically floods the room with light. Now, floodlights, especially those ones that were not meant to be on camera, there's a whole thing with the frequencies of the LEDs, so you cannot pick whatever color you want. Some of them are going to create like banding. Usually the primary colors, red, green, blue, even white sometimes will be fine, which is why I usually go with, this. Sometimes you have to play with the shutter speed of your camera to avoid the banding, and sometimes you just can't do anything. Let's say like you like pink and you're gonna buy a floodlight, you want it to be pink. Most likely your camera is not gonna be able to handle it, but there's a huge advantage with a floodlight. Let me actually grab another one because I own probably 5 of those. There you go. It's literally one of those outdoor lights. It's just RGB, comes with a remote control. And the huge advantage is that those are dirt cheap. You get a lot of power for so cheap, for like really not a lot of money. I think this is probably less than 20 bucks, probably around 10 bucks, more like 15 bucks or something like that. Keep in mind that a Philips Hue light bulb, that's usually around $50 or more, is 9 watts of brightness. Philips Hue, 9 watts. This is 50 watts and it's like 10, 15 bucks. But of course, Philips Hue, if you pick pink as a color, it's probably not going to give you banding, but also it's probably not going to illuminate this room at all. Now, there are floodlights that are made, basically same technology, except the LED driver is made to be on camera. So like it operates at a different frequency that is not going to interfere with your camera frame rate. Those are the ones you really want if you're going to be like, if you want to have all of the power, like if you want to have all of the control. And this is why when I moved here, I decided to get those, because those I can, you know, I can actually go with cyan and purple and not worry. I can also dim them down a lot without having to worry about bending. See that? With that one, it would be tearing my frames right now. So if you're poor or if you're very cheap and you want to flood your room with lights, a single one of those, especially if it's a small room, like 10 to 30 watts should do the trick. A single one is good. Just know that you won't be able to be too picky when it comes to the specific color that's going to come out of it. So if you're fine with blue, you're fine with red, you're fine with green, go for it, I'd say. I tried to convince Elgato to come out with like floodlights like that, or maybe the Elgato key light, but RGB. We'll see. All right, now that we got like, I realize just how much the floodlight back there is not doing much right now, but sometimes it does, okay? I'm going to turn the Govee Glide back on, and there it is. That is my full setup. Fun fact, my ring light is actually sitting on my monitor arm right now. Like there's nothing holding it. So if I shake the table, if I bump the table or anything, it's going to come crashing down. I need to find a way to fix it, not permanently, but like securely. Now remember, again, shutter speed, your aperture on your camera, your ISO. You usually want your ISO to be as low as possible so that you don't have noise. Noise usually like kind of distract people sometimes, especially in the dark areas and things like that. And it can make your camera look super cheap, even though it's not. If you're using a webcam, or at least like an old webcam, because that bad boy was like, hey, there's no noise. So even with a webcam, for example, the exposure is low because, well, I was pointing it directly at lights, right? In case people were thinking, hey, it's the camera. I'm using a Sony ZV-1. If you're thinking that's what makes, you know, the image look good or anything, that's not true, because this is a webcam. This is the Yellowcam S3. Most webcams do not look like that. I'll give that to you. But what does it sell for? Something like $300. So right now, is it looking better than my... Anyways, I'm not trying to sell you this camera, but I'm telling you that webcams nowadays can give you this quality. The one I'm holding, by the way. So the difference between $700, $800, which is what I paid for it when it just came out, and something like $400, $400. My white balance is different. So my skin tone is going to be redder on my Sony ZV-1. And I don't have any OBS effects on this one. Let's see, what else? I have a sharpen. I am sharpening the image in OBS Studio just a little bit. I'm going to turn that off right now. You probably can't see the difference. I have a LUT that is kind of punching the colors. I really like, as you can see, like look at my setup. I really love like vibrant colors. So my LUT only does that. I'm going to turn it off right now. Okay. And then now probably like the biggest difference you're going to see is my color correction. I also like to punch the highlights, give a little bit more contrast, because my camera, you're going to see it's actually low contrast a little bit. And I'm going to turn that off right now. And now you can see, you know, the real colors come out. There's less saturation when it comes to like the brightness, the lights behind me. And then within OBS Studio, I decide to punch it. Maybe a little too much now that I'm seeing that. When I'm switching out my setup, because I have another YouTube channel where my lighting is usually different, when I'm switching out, I usually come in here and I play around a lot with it. There you go. So it's constantly, especially for my face, it's constantly a balance between how bright do I want the softbox to be in real life versus how much I'm punching those highlights in OBS to actually get an image that I want, so that I don't have to go and mess with the image after I'm done recording. I don't like spending time on this when I'm editing. And I believe I said everything. I should show you the products and give you an estimation of the price, except for the ring light. That thing is so cheap. We're going to say free at this point. Boom, flashbang. Sorry about that. I live in West Asia, so I bought some of those from there. As you can see, this is the softbox. It comes with this big old light bulb, a remote control, which is white. They lied to me. And you can see you can control the white balance or like the color temperature. You have different presets. I never use those. I usually go the lowest possible because 150 watts is way too much. I never use the color ones. I tested them. I was like, okay, that's fun, but they're manual, so I'm not going to play around with that. All right, it comes with a bag, which is nice. And there is a switch on the cable, which is also nice, which I also never use. I used to have those CFL light bulbs, and they deteriorate over time. I don't know, the weird ceramic here basically like crumbles over time, and I lost like a lot of money like that. So I was all for the LEDs. I like the fact that there's multiple LEDs because I am specifically going for a soft-ish look. So I want the shadows to be as soft as possible. Having multiple sources kind of helps that, but on top of that, it's a soft box. It's in the name. Super easy to set up. Might take a little bit of space, but it's in a corner behind my desk. And honestly, like, it doesn't take that much space. It is behind my monitor. So it's actually not in the optimal space that it could possibly be. I'll put some links in the description for USA and also UK to whatever's closest to what I'm showing you, because a lot of this is just generic stuff. You can hop on Amazon right now and find something similar, basically. The softbox was about $38. Very cheap for what it is. And even then, back in the day, I would not spend that money, but now I do. All right, my two RGBs are right there. As you can see, you can connect them through Bluetooth. I said Wi-Fi earlier, I was wrong. I have enough. The Govee Glide is the only one I think I have that is Bluetooth. I'm good. And as you can see, this is also technically an outdoor light, which is why they're like 50 watts. They're so powerful. But I believe I read somewhere that it doesn't flicker on camera. So I was like, you know what, I'll grab them. Cheaper lights usually don't have, and this one is a little bit more expensive than others. It is weatherproof, even though it says waterproof. So yeah, I think maybe I read in the reviews, but yeah. So yeah, you either buy video lights or, you know, find somewhere that, hey, this light doesn't flicker on camera, no matter what color, no matter how much we dim it. It's kind of a gamble, but jackpot. So this one was 365 dirhams. So I'm guessing like closer to $100, way more expensive than the softbox. Yup, that is $99 for the pair. Worth it, totally worth it. This one is on AliExpress and it was €4, so approximately $5 or $6, something like that. Super cheap, very small, bunch of options. I love it. Then we have the Govee Glide, which is probably the most expensive. By itself, it is $100, at least on this website. And if you want to get more, it's like 200 and something. Govee sometimes gets super cheap or super expensive, no middle ground. But do note that this one was sent to me for free. Okay, I'm not saying that I would never spend $100 on lighting. I nearly did with those two lights, but you know, they're doing more heavy lifting than the Glide and my setup. If you have a small room and you just want to illuminate it on top of having decoration, yeah, the Glide is what you see in the middle here. The Govee rope light is what you're seeing on the outside, which I have them, but they're on my setup that is not visible. So yeah, in my opinion, for what it is, slightly worth it because the software is pretty good. It works, it's reliable, never had any problems, any connectivity problem or anything like that. It's quality. The LEDs, the light themselves, they look just as good. In fact, they look better IRL than they look on camera. You can change the speed. The movement is pretty smooth. I love it. I love it. It's good. And then finally, when it comes to the floodlight, the specific one I have back there, I have a review on it, I believe. But if you go on Amazon, you type RGB floodlight, you'll find it. Remember, if those are not meant to be on camera or it doesn't explicitly say doesn't flicker on camera, you will have flicker problems when you're trying to switch colors or do a bunch of color combinations, right? Like the effect RGB where it fades into each color, forget that. You're gonna have banding. If you can survive with the banding, it's not a huge deal, to be fair. But for me, I make YouTube videos, I can't have that. Do not buy those that say 200 watts, 400 watts. Those are meant to go like on boats. Those are like the eye-piercing ones. Do not. From 10 to 50 is absolutely sufficient for your room. Also, I'm saying all of this for educational purposes only because those are outdoor lights. They're not meant to be indoors. They get very, very hot. So use at your own risk. Don't sue me. 40 watts, and that's about $30 approximately. So yeah, remember this is the poor man's gaming room. Again, there will be equivalent in the description because I doubt that I'll find the exact same products in your country. I personally like to switch things around and I've accumulated most of those lights like over years. I've been a content creator for what, 8 years, full time for 8 years now, probably. So I don't want you to just, you know, click in the links and buy everything and think, yes, I'm gonna get good lighting. It all depends on your camera, how well you know how to adjust it, if it's even adjustable. If you're using like a Logitech C920, for example, you're gonna be very limited, very fast. My personal goal is to have very, very bright lights so that I can keep my ISO low, so that my professional cameras can look professional. They don't look cheap because I'm blasting enough lights at them. I'm also used to having the softbox right in my face for hours. If you buy all of your lighting just to realize that you just can't handle that, it would be a shame. So proceed with caution, buy one single RGB light, one single face light, and then go from there.